still Morning Right, Stay edition, and like I did tell you, news paper analyst is here, Mr. Boni Akeze. Let's meet and greet him. You're welcome, Sonia Boni Akeze. Good to have you.
Thank you,
Good
Vivian.
morning.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Good morning.
Yeah, Ogaga is still here, and together we're going to be doing this. So let's see the stories making the headlines. Let's see the headlines for today, and of course the sub headlines.
Okay, we begin from the Punch newspaper, and the major headline here says, First anniversary. Tinubu directs 47 ministers to showcase scorecards. Labour wants 497,000 naira. Federal government laments paucity of funds. And in business, electricity subsidy gobs 629 billion naira as discos generate 1.1 trillion naira. Reps want seized property converted to government offices.
Excuse me.
ICYMI, federal government bans money ritual, smoking scenes in Nollywood themes. Interesting. And I think that's all will be taken from the Punch newspaper. Let's quickly move to the Daily Post newspaper. In the Daily Post newspaper, the lead, Electoral Act Amendment. Bill seeks prisoners' rights to vote in Nigeria's elections. Electoral Act Amendment. Bill seeks prisoners' right to vote in Nigeria's elections. Minimum wage. Nigerian workers reject federal government's fresh 58,000 naira offer, propose 497,000 naira. DHQ's challenges Governor Radar to provide proof. Court grants Abba Kyari 2-week bail for mother's burial. Allocate funds to revive vandalized electricity infrastructure in Northeast. And this is a statement coming from the Senate to the federal government. And lastly, in sports, from the Daily Post, Lookman fires Atalanta to first ever Europa League glory. Those are some of the headlines on the Daily Post newspaper. Let's consider our next newspaper for today. Let's consider next is the Vanguard newspaper. And the major headline on the Vanguard newspaper, still on the minimum wage. Minimum wage, Labour cuts demands to 497,000 naira. Federal government, OPS offer 57,000 naira. That's Vanguard captures it as 57,000 naira. CBN orders existing bureau de change to reapply for new license. Drug trafficking trial. Court grants Abba Kyari 2 weeks bail to bury more. EFCC, NBA move to tackle lawyers aiding criminals to launder illicit funds. Family of detained accountant asks IG to probe fraud allegations. And in business, Naira depreciates to 1,495 to a dollar in parallel market. Socio-economic problems may push 51.6% males to migrate, and this is according to a survey by the National Bureau of Statistics. And lastly, from the Vanguard newspaper, police rescue kidnapped minors in Zamfara after 19 months in captivity. Now let's take a look at the Leadership newspaper. Federal government apologizes over hardship, defends economic policies. Sack non-performing ministers, CSO tells Tinubu. Still more headlines coming from the Leadership newspaper. DBN accelerates disbursements to MSMEs, prioritizes women, youths. Chinese firm seeks Nigeria's partnership on CNG-powered vehicles. Flight delay, 300 passengers stranded as NCAA vows sanction against Turkish airline. Lagos plans 3,300 kilometers unified fiber ducts. And lastly, from the Leadership newspaper, Minister hails Lookman on historic Europa League final hat-trick. And that's from the World of Sports. Let's jump right into the Guardian newspaper, and then maybe after that we can return to the studio.
Okay.
From the Guardian newspaper, we have the story on CBN reduces duty forex rate 8th time in May as Naira trades above 1,500 to a dollar. Federal government says negotiation is for minimum wage, not living wage, offers 57,000 naira. Uzodinma tasks Southern monarchs on societal values promotion of peace. 380 Nigerians abducted in January, Reps declares. First year in office, federal government eyes Loki ceremony, gives Tinubu pass mark. And lastly, from the Guardian newspaper, 7.3 million Discos customers still unmetered. And that's all we'll be taken from the Guardian newspaper. I think we can return back to the studio now.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Ogaga, for giving us those headlines from the different dailies this morning. And back here in the studio, time for us to analyze those interesting headlines. The one that actually caught my attention, yes, it's there in all the papers. But the way this last paper actually tagged it, that the federal government has said it's actually minimum wage and not living wage. Quite interesting, as a French would say, intéressant. You know, so I don't understand. What's the difference between what you are earning and the living? I mean, is it not for you to live that you earn salary for? I want to start there. Mr. Akeze. It's not what you earn. You work to earn a living. So why is the federal government now saying it's a minimum wage and not a living wage?
Well, I think it is perhaps need to consult economic experts for those analyses. But be that as it may, you see, what the government is saying is that the minimum, that is the lowest that we think nobody should, that's anything below that, it means you are sustaining, it is a pay to sustain the workers in poverty. So that's what is called the minimum. But the employers, the different employers can now decide what to pay, provided that what they're paying is not below the national threshold that as the minimum.
Okay.
So, because when you talk of living wage, cost of living is not the same thing across all cities, all cities
States.
in the country. Yeah. So somebody could be working in Asaba here, you know, even within Delta State. Somebody who is working in Asaba here, the person's cost of living will be slightly higher than somebody working and living in Obiaroko.
Okay.
You know, so even with that is something across Nigeria, Port Harcourt, that's River State,
Just the various states.
Zamfara,
Yeah.
the various states. But on the whole, there's in cost of living in across the country.
Yeah.
There's also average cost of living.
That is what I'm saying.
There's also
now
the
this
average.
minimum wage cannot even cater for the lowest.
See
The lowest necessary item for living.
Vivian, you see, it's in even in elementary economics when they
Yes.
talk about the factors of production and distribution of the outcome of productive venture. Wage for labor has always been in residual consideration. The capital takes higher than the land, which is still, you know, the part of the assets in production. Wage will always be residual consideration. So if you see the company, when you go to the corporate world, where real production economics, where the manpower and production economics are factors as, you know, driving and reinforcing each other, you will always see that the pay will be such that the workers will take their job, you know, as their first love. There are, some places it's popular in the public service. The issue of absenteeism, the issue of late coming, the issue. As an undergraduate, I did what they call it, what we do during the vacation, during IT.
Yeah, industrial.
Yes, I want to do a kind of IT in a place. The welfare package there. In fact, if you're sick, you will struggle to go to work.
Because of what you know you
The incentive. First of all, when you arrive in the morning, the type of tea and this thing you will take, the type of lunch you will take in the afternoon, you know. Every Friday, as we are going home, they will give us toiletries. You know, they will give us toilet every Friday. So, who would not like to go to that type of work? So that is it. So if you look at American companies, the wage is not always the fantastic thing, but if you see the fringe benefits, that is where the incentive coming. So most of the time, Vivian, I have, based on my knowledge of labor and how the political economy of our society works, I have never, the history can stand to be contradicted. History has proven that wage increment has not always been the solution to improving the standard of living of workers. You can fast check it. So, because when we're negotiating for wages, we look at the nominal value of money. You know, not the real value of money. Let me give you an example of what I mean by nominal value. If they announce today that they are giving 100,000 naira as a minimum wage.
What's the value in the market?
First of all, what you will do is, I think National Bureau of Statistics says our inflation rate is more than 30% now. Okay, let's put it at 30%. So first of all, from that 100,000 naira, remove 30% of it. because the 100,000 is the nominal value. The actual value, that is the real value, that is the purchasing power, what you
in the
can
market,
do
just like I was saying when
in
we
the
started
market.
the program.
So you first of all remove 30% of it. Then you remove as your payee, the personal income tax. Listen, then you get to the real value
of the
of
money.
it. And that is for today, you are calculating it today. The inflationary rate thing is not stable.
So stable.
So if by tomorrow the inflation rises to 35, that money has been devalued. So, and we have seen the Nigeria social system, the economic disobeys the law of gravity. Because the law of gravity says anything that goes up must come down. But in Nigeria, anything that's gone up will remain there, can always continue to go up. So, but if we're looking at a situation that the workers can access housing at a very, very affordable rate, if feeding is a given, that now no matter what you earn, chicken will not be counted as luxury.
Even I switched to luxury now.
Butter will not be counted as luxury. Gary will not be counted as luxury. Then that is where the real value. So we should be thinking of how to attempt mass production. We should be thinking of how to achieve mass production. We should be thinking of how to have an educational system, at least basic education system, that is almost at the disposal of everybody. Level. My generation, we didn't know about private primary and secondary schools. No matter where you were schooling, all of us will, whether you are living in Ikoyi, in Lagos, all of us will write the same national common entrance to enter secondary school. It was WAEC that used to organize national common entrance. All of us will write the same WAEC, GCE, or the General School Certificate Examination. So you see that there was no difference between standards in SPC Asaba and standards in like a secondary school at Umunede, or a secondary school at any of the children who are schooling in Ikoyi primary school. They didn't have any advantage in terms of standard over children who are schooling in Agege or Ikorodu, because the standard was there. And everybody, it was something that at least greater majority of the people can afford it. Those are the things we should be looking at. This minimum wage you are talking about, before the worker, in fact, remember that look at the price difference, commodity price difference between last year and this year. So as we're talking, many of the civil servants, even when they end their minimum, they are going to use it to offset debt and still return to zero. So I think we need people in our managing our economy, and especially in the area of industrial relations, to begin to think of alternative paradigms in dealing with these issues.
Sorry, I wanted to bring this in when you were speaking, but I just said, okay, let me allow you conclude what you're saying. You know, when you were talking about minimum wage, there's never been a time that minimum wage has never solved problems.
Yes.
But in comparison to what we had some years back, there was a time minimum wage was 18,000 naira. Just like we were saying when we started the program, that 18,000 naira could buy almost, if not 3 bags of rice then. Right now, what government is proposing now as the minimum wage being at 54,000 or what? Or
57, you cannot buy a bag.
You can't even buy a bag of rice. That's what we're talking about. And they are now saying it's minimum wage and not a living wage. You know.
That one is a different, is another topic.
Yes.
Of its own. But what I'm saying is, Okay, let me take for example. You see, economic management. Economic management, you do um, the medium term, the short term, medium and long term projections. You also do what we call the second order thinking when you are doing a policy planning. Because what you want to do is you want to achieve result, and you don't just want to achieve result. You want to have a sustainable solution. You know, you want to have a sustainable solution. Well, you are giving the example of 18,000 naira and a bag of rice in some years back.
Yes.
You didn't factor that even when you were reeling in that ex-taxi that 18,000, you didn't factor how the economic system. There were people who knew. There are people who have that critical mindedness and objective, this thing, understanding of objective realities, the direction things are going. That would have predicted that between this time and this time, these are likely what is going to happen. And some of their calculations will come to pass because they understand the mechanism, the workings of the system. You are just looking at the now, the moment. You don't even you are not capable of projecting what is going to happen in the nearest future. So that's why I'm saying I'm not saying, of course, definitely from time to time we're supposed to even be talking about wages are aligning with cost of living index. But because we are not doing that, we are saying that while we are doing that as a medium-term issue approach,
Yes.
we should be looking at the more long-term issue. If you, let me take education for example. I have always canvassed for that. As we have the tertiary education trust fund, we should also have the basic education trust fund, where everybody, government should have a way of getting everybody to contribute to that. There could be a telecom tax that for any recharge card you buy, a certain percentage goes to that education trust fund. There's a reason that even the local government, even the states, even from the personal income tax that's workers pay, a certain percentage of it should be remitted to that basic education trust fund. From the local government, the rates and taxes they charge and all this, from VAT, from the money contractors pay, retainership and all that, so that we should have that is funding of basic education should be a given, that it should not even be a burden to the government. Okay. There should be a sustainable pool of funds that we will go to, to fund basic education. If we do that if today, if you said that the least paid primary school teacher in our public primary school, no teacher should earn less than 350,000 naira a month. That sector will attract the best brain.
Yes, actually.
That sector will attract the best brain, and you will see a revolution.
The education sector.
I get you. Okay, let's move away from this story. Let's talk about this from the Guardian newspaper, and I'll put it side by side with the Punch. First year in office, federal government eyes low-key ceremony, gives Tinubu pass mark. And a rider here says, policies have cut down inflation, created jobs. Then also, a first anniversary from the Punch, Tinubu directs 47 ministers to showcase scorecards. So, now, first of all, what do you think about this low-key celebration? And
okay, let me ask you, if you were the president of Nigeria, judging from the emotional temperature of the country today, you will go celebrate, you will go on funfair.
Off camera, we actually had that conversation.
Exactly.
But the federal government, now thinking of it, but the federal government, they are giving themselves pass mark. And they also said their policies have cut down inflation and created jobs. So it's not worth celebrating.
It's a popular balance in the philosophy that you cannot be a judge in your own case. if you were an official, if you were part of the federal government, if you were Tinubu's people, the President Tinubu's men, you will score him low. That see what they have said is their own self. Like what's the name of that man? What's his name? He was on Politics Today, Channels Television. He said they should tell us one problem
Yeah, so
they have solved. That is at least that is a very good.
They said they
approach.
cut down inflation, created jobs.
so
You come up with statistics now. If you say you have created that, when we came, inflation was at this rate.
Great, exactly.
This is
So
where-
this is even shocking
Yes.
because even the month-on-month reports that the
Mm.
NBS releases on inflation. So I wonder.
I wonder where they came up with that.
I have asked you. It's just about sometimes we can say to people misfires, but they are doing their job. If you do, you are media people. If I'm sure that during your training, communication theory, that's what we call ritual communication. When you are speaking for the government of an organization, criticism of that organization or that establishment must never come from you.
Definitely.
It is natural. You are you attend a man's night of tribute. Somebody has just died and they're organizing a night of tribute. What do you go there to say? You go there to eulogize.
You apologize. You never bring up the bad side of that person
No.
when he was alive.
It is a toast communication. It's not a roast communication. So
Or perhaps, okay.
so that is natural. So government officials, but those in opposition, those you see, the democracy is a game of contestation. The interaction of thesis and antithesis. So when those, it's just like a debate for and against. So at the end of the day, the syntaxis will produce a new platform that will begin to interrogate the fixed time again. So those the government have said we have done very well. Nigerians you should clap for us. Those in opposition should come out also with their own assessment. Then when the two sides interact, yes, we the world, not just Nigerian citizens, the world will make their value this thing.
Perhaps what they actually mean, I don't know, maybe what they mean by saying that their government has created job, their policies, whatever, has helped create job. Perhaps they mean that people have now started thinking outside the box to actually look for ways of earning
To
a
be
living,
self-employed.
to be self-employed, to make ends meet.
Yes,
Because right now, I know some persons
state-
who have one or two cars,
Mm.
and they have put one, even the second car, out there to run transport for them and bring in extra money because
So
they need to meet up with the demands.
So
of the
you see,
daily
Vivian,
demands rising in cost of living and all that. So you need extra more money
Yeah.
to be able to afford the kind of life you've been living to an extent. You cannot be drinking bottled water, and because Tinubu is in government, you go and start drinking sachet water, or you are drinking sachet water, you go and start drinking from the tap and all that. So you have to look for other means of getting more money to be able to sustain the cost of living. Perhaps that's what they mean now. I don't know.
Okay,
That's
you
on a
see,
different
Vivian,
note.
you see, Vivian, you are bringing some perspective. So,
Yeah.
so it is analytical. So
Well, the SSG that made this statement, he actually said that the celebration was put aside so government funds are kept for the people. I hope we see those funds. I
Exactly.
really hope we see
Okay.
this
Now there's a story that says labor, okay, ban on smoking and rituals in Nigerian movies. That is because they're saying that banning the scenes on smoking and rituals because it's part of the problem we have in the
Do
country.
you think it's influencing
Do you think
the
it's
Nigerian
influencing?
populace?
Yeah.
no, you see, I have been one of the persons that have been clamoring that yes, the film industry or what we call the movie industry is a big industry and it could add to our GDP, it could create employment. Of course, has some other, multiplier effects on the economy. But that I think it's been long left in the hands of quacks. see, what does art do? What do you do in art, in entertainment art? Music, the theater, and you mirror society.
Exactly.
You mirror society. You show,
What is happening
and
in
you use
society
it.
already.
You use it. It is you. There are mediums of cultural propagation. There are mediums of channels of historical reconstruction or social engineering. So when you go and continue to project the negative side of society, you are not doing that society
Good.
any good. What you call I don't for the, because I don't want to be when they talk rituals. When we talk about the word, the context in which we use the word rituals here is when we want to connote demonic practice. You know, demonic and
Yes, yes. Evil
magical
practices, yes.
superstitions and no, that is not. Rituals mean regular act, something that is done.
Like
you
even
know,
the prayer
that
to
is
say every morning is a ritual.
It's a ritual.
Your morning
So,
ritual, yeah.
Or if you want to say fetish practices.
That's a better way to put it. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. Nigerians are not more into those practices than the Chinese or the Indians.
English, yeah.
You see all those series. What do you call the Indian popular
Bollywood.
on television?
I'm not even a fan. That's what I will not
Is it
remember.
their soap operas?
Yeah, that movie.
That channel.
Not that channel. Oh my God.
Z-World.
Z-World, yeah. You see now, a man is.
I'm
Z-World.
knowledgeable. I don't watch it. I just know a lot of things.
Z-World. Have you ever seen them showing all those kind of things?
They show
No.
more of love
So
and quarrel actually in the family.
Nigeria.
So you
So
watch.
if the federal government, if there is it is a move, you know, to sanitize and use that platform, use it as a channel for social engineering,
Yes.
for promoting and propagating values, you know, that will put Nigeria in a better picture. I welcome it. You see, I was discussing with a very, very elderly person, and he was saying that we have not come to even started addressing the problem of our society. You see, a society where liberal education is not given attention, you see, that society is doomed. If you want, if you go through history, why one of the signs that a society is degenerating instead of progressing is look at their works of art. Look at their works of art. Check the music we play today. Music is part of literature.
Yes.
Check the music we play today. It's just dance hall music, reading, no lyrics.
No really.
No lyrics. It's just nightclub music, dance floor music.
Yeah, it's painful that the ones that have good lyrics, they are not well promoted
They're
and
not
not
well
well
promoted.
It's
listened
because
Kind
it
of
is
society
what the
we find
market, what is,
ourselves.
you know.
Yeah, exactly.
So most of the time, most of even the musicians you have today, they are not musicians, they're singers. Because they can't even try their hands on any instrument.
Exactly. I remember when I interviewed Sir Victor White for one time, he made mention of this.
Yes.
That most of the persons who say are musicians are not
They're
musicians.
just stage
They can't
entertainers,
play
singers.
instruments. When
They
you
are
don't
not
play
music. They are
instruments,
not
you're
musicians.
not a musician, yes. You're right.
So, if the National Film and Censor Board can come out with this, it is a welcome development. We need to sanitize
They're moving
what
the
we
street.
show, you know. So even our children, our little children, some of them are told their parents leave them to watch all these things. You know, they're supposed to have age-appropriate movies and even time for airing some Okay, but those things are not regulated. There are things people are what they see, what they hear. People grow up to reproduce the type of society that socialized them. The process of socializing. Education is socialization. It is not, education is not about grabbing a certificate. It's about social. That is how you may not be literate, but yet you are educated. Literacy and education are two different things. The guy who works with a blacksmith, he didn't have formal education, stays with the blacksmith and they work and he grew up and becomes an expert in that. He's educated in that field.
Yeah.
He's educated in that field. I grew up in the palace. I see from childhood. I see our people. Is our family. They hold the town's congress, the palace. You know, I see the way they were adjudicating cases. So it was from even that I have when I went to school, they started teaching us about the legal system, judicial system. I already have a previous knowledge because I have been sitting as a kid. I was sitting where they were adjudicating cases and all that. So those are those people. All the cases, the traditional conflict management and resolution mechanism, they didn't read it in any book. But when I went to school, especially when I was doing peace and conflict studies, I related what we were teaching to what I saw that they were doing at home when I was a kid.
Up.
So education is socialization.
Socialization. So that means a whole lot has to also be done from the home as well in order to have a better society. All right, there's this bill seeking prisoners' right to vote during election. How possible is that? Bill seeking prisoners' right to vote in election.
One of our problem in this country is that we like to copy so much. Whatever we see as
so that's why they travel abroad now. So when they travel, they copy those things now.
You see, there's nothing right. Our prisons, they are like we have corrected. It's a correctional center. I try to that after staying there, you come out a better person. Fine, you should be still accorded your right and liberties.
Your constitutional right, yeah.
But let's go back to how would they vote?
Prisons,
you could. Prisoners are, there are different custodian facilities. We no longer call them prison. We have correctional facilities, correctional custodies. If I am from Asaba here, for example, or I registered my voting center is in Asaba, and something happens and I'm taken to local jail prison during election, how am I going to vote? Our electoral system, do we have the mechanism that you can vote from anywhere you are and your vote will be counted, will be reflected in your polling, your registration point? Okay. Those are the things you have to think about. So it's not just come and throw something in the air. Because I just came back from London and England, and I saw that when they did the election, even people in prison voted, even people in refugee camps voted. How you should have to tell her, how was it possible for them?
Do you have the mechanism in place in the country?
In this country, we saw how when we did the election and we said the IRF shut down and we couldn't transmit results. We saw how we did the election where some people said they could not get network in their areas. So the beavers could not work. They could not upload the result until they have to come out to a place where they could access it. So, but society development is a work in progress. Yes. So, let's see how it goes.
Okay, so this headline from the leadership is quite contradictory to one we took earlier. This one says, federal government apologizes over hardship, defends economic policies. So I just wanted to...
Meanwhile, earlier we saw the one saying...
they regretted themselves, they've been doing well and all of that. So
they have created jobs and...
So let's put it side by side with this. The CSO...
No, let me comment on that one. You see, like I have
No,
always,
I will comment on both. So
Okay.
the CSO is telling Tinubu to sack non-performing ministers. Now, I want you to put it side by side when they are defending for their. And let's also, I want you to also touch on the better I do issue that we've not heard about in a long while, talking about sacking this thing.
There's
So
even a
Brian-
call for her to be reinstated as a minister.
okay, let's go to the issue of
Apology.
the contradicting.
Stories.
One said, you see, sometimes I also blame the media because, like on this this matter I'm talking around the issue of the 1 year anniversary, the government has its own program. The president has directed that the ministers should present their scorecards, which is, if you watch the television yesterday, the secretary to the government of the Federation said there will be press briefings. So different ministries will take their turn to do press briefings. So the government has given, there's an official program, and there are people who have the authority to make pronouncements on behalf of the government.
Yes.
But sometimes, if I am a ministry official and I talk with a journalist, and the journalist will take it for granted because I am a government official that I'm speaking for the government. It's not always like that. I could be giving my own opinion. Our government has tried, give reason that at the end of the day, journalists will go and write it and say the state government or federal government said they have done. Now, because I spoke to him, I have become the government. That is, we have seen cases like that. So I am not sure because I watched Akume
saying that
yesterday when he gave this thing that there's going to be briefing. So
this headline.
who said this headline now?
Okay,
Who is talking?
so
is
see
this
the
the
detail.
secretary to the government? Is it
apology.
the commissioner for?
Let me just read a
That
part.
is give the detail, yeah.
Yes.
A part. So it says this is mind you, this story is from the leadership.
Okay.
It said the apology came yesterday from the budget and economic planning
Okay.
Atiku Bagudu
Okay.
at a ministerial sectoral update in Abuja.
Okay.
So you can see that he has the authority.
He has
to
the authority.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all because I've not.
No, I like the fact that he needed context.
Yeah. Yes. So in that case, you will see that there will be the need for government agencies to work in synergy.
Yes.
Because this one will not be saying a
Can't
different
figure,
thing.
yeah, different
This one will
thing.
be saying
There's
a
no
different thing.
synergy.
It does not project the country in good
In
light.
good
Because
light.
there's something people don't understand. Today, the federal government we have, the APC government, led by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is the government of the Federation of Nigeria. You may not belong to their political party. You may not like their person. But the fact is that that is the government we have. And that is the government that projects us to the outside world. It's just like we in Delta State. We have our governor, Right Honorable Sheriff Opororo. It does not matter whether you like him or you don't like him. It does not matter whether you are PDP or you are PC. It's irrelevant. He is our governor. So he is the one that projects us to the rest of Nigeria. He must be given his due respect. He must, you must do as much as you can to support what is doing. When election comes, it's a different ball game. If you think there should be, it's a different ball game.
But what he's done, that's it.
He is, so Nigerians, all of us, we want to, once we continue, in fact, we don't end our elections. That's why I say it. We don't end our election. We continue. If you lose, you want to fight the person who won and, make the seat unbearable for him. No. It shouldn't be like that. Again, even people in government, the people they appoint to position, some of them tend to be overzealous. You know, that they don't even want to, they don't even bother to understand the workings of the government. So, in the term, in the bid to shine, in the bid to think that you are the one doing, you begin to cause problem even for the government that you are so enthusiastic to serve.
Okay, what do you think about the civil society organizations called to sack non-performing ministers? And do you think it's something that's feasible in a country like this?
See, as civil society, you set agenda. It's just when you set agenda, you know, you call people's attention. It may not be exactly what you are calling for. May not be exactly what will happen, but it will draw attention. What is not feasible? Why is replacing people not feasible? What is difficult about it? But you are not the You are not the person who makes the appointment. You are only recommending. So it is the person. All the duties, all the functions of the executive arm of government are the duties of the president. Any person he appointment, the person has been invited to help him, you know, carry out that aspect of his work. So he must have his mechanism for performance evaluation to know who is performing and who is not performing. At times, most of the things you think the messenger is doing and think is doing wrong, you may be surprised that he is only towing the path of his master. And you an outsider there, will be seeing it from a different perspective. Angle. You don't know the goal that has been set for him or her. You don't know, you know, so what the decision to hire and the decision to fire, the power to hire and fire rests with the president. Whatever the other person is talking is maybe an advice.
Okay, let's look at the visit of Peter Obi to Atiku, or the meeting of Atiku and Peter Obi. A lot has actually been said about this meeting. Now, APC has been reported to be sweating over Atiku Peter Obi's meeting. What's the big deal?
Who wrote that piece? Why had
not even just APC, even individuals.
No, they say the person wrote that APC had been sweating.
APC sweating, it's an
yes, that adjectival connotation. Who told him?
Even not just people from different platforms, seeing individuals discussing this meeting. 2027 ahead, you know, they are meeting ahead of 2027, and Atiku, Peter Obi's meeting. So what's the big deal?
What is it? Yes. Is there anything? If it took a merger of APP, what do you call that? AMPP, ACN, and what's the Buhari's party? See something. CNPP. I've forgotten that Buhari's party now.
ACN.
No, ACN is the Action Congress of Nigeria. Yes. AMPP. Then this one, the party that Buhari founded now, CNPP, I was saying something.
I think
then
it's to come before the end of the program.
And there were some even other minor parties that joined them.
Coalition of parties.
Yes, it took such merger for them to be able to give PDP a run in 2015 and won. So if it happened now, we are not seeing it for the first time. It's not been the first time. Even right from the first and second republic, they were at the coalition and mergers. So it's just that when some of these things happen, people who want to sell news blow them out of proportion. Which instrument did you measure to say, is it a thermometer or a barometer or what that you used to say that they are sweating? You know, it's just to spice up news and make it look, and that the people you are talking about, the men in the arena, they know their game and they are going. They know how to go about it. Sure. It's not all these things you are talking.
No, there's this story that said reps want federal government to confiscate properties to convert confiscated properties to government offices. You, that story is
Confiscated from
from,
who?
maybe
Confiscated?
from individuals. That's just,
it was a headline.
it was a headline
Which
story.
which paper had
That should be the second paper you read. I can't remember again, but I know I just heard that down because I was like, why should they be converted to government offices? Perhaps properties that the owners defaulted, maybe in getting the right papers or they built on the right of way or something like that. So I was wondering why they would want to advocate that
Well, I wouldn't be able to
they
come
should
because
be
unless they
converted.
put it in proper context. Because which property confiscated?
Individuals.
Is it the one
Individual
sealed?
properties.
Is
They're
it
the
the
ones
ones
sealed, yeah.
seized by that the courts granted for future to the federal government? You know, we should know the
The properties
confiscated
in
property we are
context,
talking about.
okay.
Is it the one that people who took loans and could not pay and are confiscated, or the one that are seized because they are proceed of a crime and fraud? You know.
Now
We need to-
you're already even bringing out perhaps some of those category of the properties. Let's assume now is in line with these areas you are bringing out. Should they be converted to government offices?
Once you see,
If at all.
if once those properties are confiscated, and there is a lawful what would I call it now?
Backing.
It is lawfully forfeited to the government. Government will decide what to do with it. But the ones that are suitable to be used for offices could be converted to offices. The ones that are not suitable could be sold off.
Okay.
So that's why I said the person who moved that it's not a bill being proposed. It's a motion.
It's a motion, yeah.
Somebody the
For
person
the
must
reps.
be the person must be coming. The person who moved that motion and those who are supporting the motion must be coming from the background. So we need to have
That
that proper
background.
background
Okay,
to be able
I think
to.
I found the
Yeah, I
story.
found
It's
the story, yeah.
from the Punch, and it
Yeah.
says the House of Representatives on Wednesday urged the federal government to renovate and convert its abandoned buildings and forfeited land locally and abroad for public use. So the resolution of the House was sequel to the adoption of a motion titled "Call to Convert Abandoned and Seized Properties, including buildings and lands for public use."
Fine. So you see, it has been put in proper
Defined,
context.
yes. Okay.
Which there's nothing wrong about that.
Okay, and I think we'll take one last story. It says the release of kidnapped, that story on the release of kidnapped children after 19 months. Yes. Can we have that story? After 19 months. Kidnapped children from Zamfara.
I think the headline just captures it. So
Yes. Okay, if we can't get that story, then I think we'll just have to end it here. And of course, there's also this accusation of the military aiding terrorism. How
Yes.
can they actually prove that? How can it be proven that the
The-
military is
the-
aiding terrorism?
The person who made the statement is the one the honest
yes, the
to
Katsina State
prove.
Governor,
If you allege, you
Diko
prove.
Rada.
So it's not what we'll begin to
Analyze,
analyze.
yeah,
It's the
yeah.
person that, like the military has said, so let whoever make the
You
If
are
it's
alleges
or her
must
proof.
who alleged, let him come forward and prove.
Yes.
Okay, have you found that story?
No.
Okay,
exactly.
okay. I think we call it a wrap here. Yeah, we wrap it here on newspaper analysis. Like I always say, we go beyond analyzing papers. You know, you get to be enlightened on different issues as far as the state of the nation is concerned. And Bonnie Akeze is always doing justice to that. Thank you very much, Mr. Akeze,
Thank
for
you.
being here.
Thank you.
Thank you for your
Yeah.
time.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you, Ogaja.
All right, now we continue with testimony right on other segments that we'll bring to you after this short break. Let's stay.
You see am now, where our governor dey say more agenda, you think say na joke?
Indeed, now more for all deltas.
Yes.
I even hear recently say our governor sheriff Indo go inspect the Orere Bridge for Ogilisad local government area.
Oh, that's good though. You know, say Governor Sheriff don't talk about the government.
Hello. Of course now, we dey very happy for the university. When our governor Sheriff they build for all deltas for Ororogbe, Okwe local government area.
You dey hear that? Chai! Our governor Sheriff now this month of May 29th, now he go complete 1 year for office.
Yes.
And he don already the commission projects. For example, the Enwe Road for Isoko South. He don commission am.
Yes, I'm aware. Even the 5-story High Court complex don't be ready for commissioning to also mark in 1 year in office anniversary.
Sheriff is working, and according to the Commissioner for Information, Dr. Ifeanyi Oswaza, he said Sheriff don promise say every local government area of Delta State will experience the more agenda.
Wonderful.
I mean, meaningful development.
No doubt it don't already dey happen because before the MA4 Orogun Road, motor self not fit dey pass am. But now it be like London Road. And make I tell you, our governor Sheriff don already line up numerous projects for inauguration to mark in 1 year anniversary in office.
Hey, Governor Sheriff!
I love Governor Sheriff because he goes for the best. Take for example the ongoing flyover project in Warri. Man, imagine now Julius Berger handling it.
I love the way Governor Sheriff is governing. He's making sure all projects are completed.
More agenda. Governor Sheriff came prepared to govern with excellence.
Brought to you by Delta State Ministry of Information.
Everything you put your hand go walk. Your name go open doors.
My country person, the Delta State government don dey do everything within their power to stop insecurity and to make sure say Delta State dey silence for everybody, you and I inclusive. I make the Delta State government come start the registration of laborers and artisans for inside Asaba and its environs. To this particular effect, every developer will expect you say make you go the artisan village where they located for Oko for inside Oshimili South. Now there you go see artisans and laborers they registered with Kajat ID card and approved jacket. Now them Delta State government say make you use to develop your property. According to the chairman, Delta State Task Force Committee for Implementation and Enforcement of Registration Process for Immigrants, Laborers and Scavengers,
Chief Godpower or Mafuwe Asiowu JP.
Any developer or contractor where go places like Coca Junction, Akpu Junction, Camp 74 Junction, or any other place where illegal artisans or laborers they can carry them, pay them to develop in property. Now trouble they find for Delta State government handle. A word is enough for the wise. Deal with the registered artisan and laborer, and where you go see them now for the artisan village where they located for Oko for Oshimili South, Delta State. Delta State now we all know.
Everything you put your hand go.